Hey guys, Massios here, and today is gonna be a fun one. I'm back for day number 19, I think, at this point, of r/slash Nuclear Revenge. And today, I have not one, not two, not four, but 6 stories. We're going mega mode today, because I've got 5 short stories and a long one. Let's start with this one. Marvin's Killdozer. Sometime in the early 2000s, there was a small town in Colorado. Among the residents in Granby, there was a muffler repair shop owner named Marvin Hemeyer. He was a sort of cool guy. I don't know how to describe it. He also got along with some people. One day, some company was going to make a concrete plant right next to his shop. Marvin was against the idea, but he was alone. The construction of the plant would cut off the only entrance to the shop. Of course! Marvin tried to get people to sign a petition, but he couldn't get enough people to sign. Marvin decided he was going to make his own entrance to the shop. He brought everything he needed to do so. The city denied his request to build a new road. Eventually, the concrete plant cut off Marvin's sewerage, and the city fined Marvin for it. That was the last straw. Marvin started constructing a tank out of the materials he got to build a new road to his shop. One of the items was a bulldozer. He recorded himself often and eventually finished the Killdozer. Despite its name, it never killed anyone. He decided that when the armor was lifted onto the bulldozer, it's not coming off. Marvin got into the bulldozer and lifted the armor onto it. Marvin drove the dozer through his shop and into the concrete plant. He goes to the city and destroys buildings of those who wronged him, such as the newspaper place that lied about Marvin, the former mayor's house, and the town hall. He destroyed many more buildings. The governor of Colorado even considered destroying the Killdozer with Hellfire missiles. That idea was scrapped for obvious reasons. When Marvin was destroying a shop, the radiator was leaking and the bulldozer broke down. Marvin then shot himself. Okay. TLDR, guy gets his life ruined, destroys multiple buildings, and ends with his death. Okay. That's a pretty serious rampage. I'm amazed no one died by him. I don't want to laugh at it, but it is somewhat funny. Like how ironic the name is to the fact that it didn't kill anyone. Okay, moving on. Bullied me for 5 years, enjoy being blind. Okay, so when I was in 1st grade, some guy moved into our school. I'll call him P. P was a tall, thin guy. He liked to bully me verbally and would sometimes hit me. This revenge starts in the 5th grade. I have always had anger issues, so when I got angry, it was extreme, and sometimes it would take up to 5 teachers to hold me down. So after P did a particularly dick move on me, I snapped. But this time it was different. I let the rage build up inside me, and when class ended, I waited for him to bully me a bit more. After a while, he shoved me to the ground. I got up, looked at him with the most rage I have ever had. I punched his face, but missed, and his eyes so hard, his retina detached, and then proceeded to fall to the ground crying, and I got suspended for a week, but didn't get in too much trouble because the school considered it self-defense. His retina got damaged when the surgeon tried to reattach it. He is now blind in one eye. The other eye got bullied for about 5 years. Punched the guy's eye so hard, his retina detached, and the surgery went wrong. He is now blind in one eye. Just, do you still have the nerves connected to the eye though, so like he can't take it out? Like, you can't take out the eye and just give him an eye patch? Ah! Question is, which eye was it? Was it his, like, left eye or his right eye? Because depending on which eye, he's either way, he's gonna have a lack of depth perception for a while, and we walk into a lot of holes. Let's move on to the next one before I get even. I'll laugh even more. Although this one's gonna be a fun. This one's just a funny title. Paintballs. Reposted from r/ProRevenge because illegal actions got it taken down from there. Not my story, but an old trucker who didn't have Reddit. We got stuck at sea on a rescue boat yesterday and passed the time sharing r/ProRevenge stories. So, as told by him, I was a fuel trucker. And say that 5 times fast. I was a fuel trucker. I was a fuel trucker. I was a fuel trucker. I got 3 times there. I'm sorry. I had a regular daily routine in my state and would start just after 4 p.m. So I was refilling the area's gas stations roughly after evening rush. This had me driving late into the night. In this one small town, it seemed like every night around 10, this a-hole in a T-top would pass me on the road while jerking off. He always seemed to find me, pull up to me on the highway, and try to get my attention before zipping off down the road. One week I saw him 3 nights in a row at the same red light. It was summer, so he had his roof down each time. Then I got an idea. A wonderful idea. When I got home, I got what I needed from my teenage son's room and slept better than I had in weeks. The next night, as I drove through that small rural south town, sure enough, Mr. T-Top pulled up next to me, whacking it, and giggling as he looked up at me, noticing that my window was down for the first time. Then he saw the paintball gun. My son was avid in the sport and had saved for a long time to buy this thing and modify it out for team league stuff. My point is, it could shoot very, very fast. And I lit him up. The inside of his car, him and his lap was covered in green paint in about 3 seconds. I don't know how long it took him to get in gear and run that red light, but I was empty before he was out of the intersection. Never saw him again. You painted his balls with paintballs. Oh my god, I love that. That's brilliant. You painted him, his balls, and the car with paintballs. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm gonna go with the long one now. Kill 3 kittens and a cat prepared to have your life ruined. Throw away for obvious reasons. So, a bit of backstory. My wife and I live in a small town near the outskirts, i.e. it's all houses and no flats there. This will be very important later on. We also had a retired neighbour. Let's just call her Karen. Now Karen, we found out, had a bit of a history. Her husband beat a worker to death when he caught him stealing and then covered it up by hanging him in the forest. He managed to get away with it due to some political and police connections. The husband had died in the meantime, but everybody still remembered it. Small city mentality, and she was an absolute outcast. This was probably exacerbated by her being an absolute Karen. Now that is over, let's get into the meat of it. So over a year ago, we adopted a cat to go alongside a tomcat. Surprisingly for us, they had kittens quite quickly, 3 of them some 2 months after we adopted her. So we were raising them up, thinking about who should we give them to, when suddenly both she and the kittens disappeared. We found just one of the kittens in terrible agony that night. Her, I don't know what to call them, screams had woken us up. She died before we got to the vet. We already had our suspicions, which were confirmed by the vet. Broken glass. Given that the kittens always followed their mother, what we suspected happened was that Karen put out a bowl of meat in glass, and the cat found it and shared it with the kittens. My wife wanted to go to the police. I had better ideas in mind. I should mention that the fence between us is an old one made of chicken wire with a lot of holes. Very easy to cross. So the next Sunday when Karen went to church, she was very religious, I went to check through her house. Guess what I found in the trash? The other 2 kittens and the cat. So I set my plan into motion. Next week on Sunday, I went into her house again. This time I came prepared. I had cleaned everything flammable between our house and hers. Once inside her house, I staged a little accident. She had a very flammable carpet, one well-placed turned candle, and it started. So Karen comes home and sees that it's all burning. Most people would stop that. We didn't. By now my wife was fully on board. Seeing Karen there, homeless, afraid, and all around desperate, we offered her to stay at our place for a while. Good neighbours as we were. Everyone else would have told her to fork off. She knew. On the condition she tells us the truth about the cats. We promised we weren't interested in pressing charges, we just wanted closure. Obviously I also had a hidden recorder on me. And when we let her inside, she tearfully confessed everything, saying how much she was sorry, and how she wished she could make it right, yada yada. So now I had a recording that was enough for quite a lot of criminal and civilian charges, cruelty to animals, destruction of property, and emotional trauma. But I wanted to go for one more. The next week, after she brought all her stuff in, we served her an absolutely delicious lunch. Duck with mushed potatoes. The thing was, her portion had a crap ton of laxatives. But literally crapping everywhere. So after she started shorting her guts out, we called for an ambulance, insisting she should go to the hospital. So Karen goes to the hospital and finds out there was nothing wrong. Pretty peeved, she comes back to our home to find all of her stuff on the street, and me and my wife on the fence, telling her to fork off. The main gate to our courtyard, however, was left partially open on purpose. We also told her we would be pressing charges on the cats. Now entitled Angry and Scared Angry and Scared Beach that she was. What do you think? Did she take the bait? Of course she did, and she lounged right through the gate to discover both me and my wife had 2 wooden sticks on us that we probably used to knock her teeth out. We then pressed charges on everything. Damage to property, the cat and the kittens were technically our property, emotional trauma, killing the cats and us finding the one that somehow survived for a few hours wailing out in the courtyard, breaking and entering, and attempted assault. In the end, she was sent to 10 years in prison and had to pay $10,000 in damages, mainly for the attempted battery and psychological trauma. Really funny thing is she kept all her money in the house that burnt down with the house. So if she lives long enough to get out of prison, she'll be dirt poor. And TLDR, my current neighbour murdered my cat and kittens just because she was a happiness-hating bitch. So me and my wife burned her house, got her in prison for 10 years, made her dirt poor, and smashed her face with wooden bats. You said sticks, not bats. Just like, batter up, boom. It's like in the cartoons, pull the bat away. It's like, to answer the main questions in the replies, why weren't you prosecuted? Well, the only criminal acts were the trespassing and the arson, both of which cannot be proven. As for whether Karen had any connected family, the answer is no. She and her murderer husband had no children, and both him and his odious kin in the police have since died of natural causes. She's like 70 now. Okay, from cats to dogs. Father attempting to murder puppies leads to his own fake murder. This is my uncle's story, not mine. My uncle, Mike, used to have a friend that we'll call Jim. Jim owned a quiet mechanic shop at the beginning of a dead-end dirt road. Many people would drive down the road, dump things, and drive back by the shop. Jim and Mike would often sit in front of the shop and keep an eye on people driving by, as there would be some shady characters out there sometimes. In front of the shop, the road had a bridge that went over a river. One day, a family driving by stopped on the bridge. Jim and Mike's attention was alerted by children absolutely screaming from inside the car. They watched as the father, who was also the driver, threw a sack from the bridge into the river, then sped off down the dirt road. They saw that the bag was moving and immediately sprung into action and climbed down the embankment and grabbed it. Inside the bag were 7 tiny live puppies. Oh, yikes. Okay, 7. We've increased our numbers from 4 to 7. Jim was a dog lover and was not having this. He knew since that road was a dead end, the family would have to drive back by. He grabbed his shotgun and stood in the middle of the road, waiting. They pulled up and he had the gun drawn. They stopped and he ordered the father out of the car. The mother and 2 small children were terrified. He then marched the father down to the riverbank, outside of his family. He then screamed at the father for a good 10 minutes about animal abuse, his poor parenting skills, and some other choice not so nice words. Then, for good measure, he fired a shot into the ground. The shot was heard by the family waiting in the car. Their eyes went wide and the kids started screaming again. The mother started crying and shrieking. It was another 2 to 3 minutes before the father walked back up to the car, completely fine and uninjured. I am not agreeing with the actions here, but that sure was some revenge. Also, 4 puppy murderers. Oh my god, just tossing puppies right into the river. It's like, hey river, here's some free puppies for you. Oh wait, they drowned. Talk racist and kick me? You're half blind now. Okay, I post this on my phone and English is not my first language. So, about 3 years ago, I was in high school and there was a guy in my classes that hated me for some reason, and I heard he was talking racist about other people. I didn't mind at that time because I didn't want to get in trouble. But when I heard that he was saying that I and my brother need to go back to Africa, I am black but born in the country where it happened, I was shook. So in the break, I went to him and asked what he said. The conversation went like this. Me. What did you say about me? Him. What do you mean? You're talking racist about me and my brother. I didn't do that at all. I have screenshots of you saying things about me. I could see him getting uncomfortable and angry. If I ever see such things again, I will fork you up. He didn't react to that, and he was shook, probably because he didn't know that I would confront him. Then I walked away and to get to the next lesson, and pushes me in the back really hard, so I fell, and then kicked me on the ground multiple times. What a pussy move. I then stood up shocked and hurt, but I felt so much adrenaline to my body that I punched him on his cheekbone. I did boxing at the time, so it was a hard hit. He ran away and cried. Later, I got called to the principal. He gave me a story that I hit somebody. So I told him the whole story, and I didn't get in trouble. The next day, I hear that he has some big eye issues because of the punch, and that he was blinded now one eye by me. He got expelled for starting a fight and provoking me. Some sweet revenge. Again, which eye was it? Left or right? I want to know. I want to just... Yes! I just scrolled down. Yeah. 2 stories that actually connected. Oh, what a beautiful ending to the day! I'm gonna end this episode on that note. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel, and along with links to the playlist and the last episode. Go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.